Hey guys, how's everybody doing? It's your host Les Lambert. This Brothers of Influence, man, it's so crazy. I can't believe that we're here today. This came off a thought of an idea of just hanging out with some friends. But again, we are here. So on today's episode, we just want to kick things off with my story, my backdrop. You know what I'm saying? It's about me, pretty much. How did I come up to get this far and to have this idea of what I'm doing? So we're just gonna go into my history so that everything ties together in the end, as you see different snippets of what I'm doing, things that I might be, that you guys might see me doing on my Instagram or something, or wherever. Because there's going to be a lot going on. I'm involved in a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to just round it up to one thing, but in everything that I'm doing, again, I believe in giving back. So I believe that pretty much these videos, and these archives that we're getting ready to create, can add value to someone out there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's never just about you. It's always bigger than you. So this is why I'm doing this, because this is bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being used in this particular scenario to bring forth whatever. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's the way it works. So for me, I'm very spiritual. I had my thing with God where I pretty much know what I was called to do. And a big part of that is what I'm doing right now, giving back. So, and pretty much my journey, everything that I've been through up until this point allows me to share with you guys, and hopefully it sparks someone and motivate, inspire, whatever. You know what I'm saying? To take positive action and you apply in your personal life and do whatever you got to do to succeed. So that's what this is all about. So I want to start with pretty much the first thing, which is this, guys. I started, I came to this country, I was 11 years old. Me, my brothers, my mother, my stepfather, we came here. I didn't know nothing about the US. Know nothing about America. Came from the islands, a whole different culture, ball game. You know what I'm saying? It's all different. I didn't know anything about that, about the US and how it works. So went to school, started off junior high school, all the way up to, high school and then college and all that. So your parents come up, for all the island folks out there, let's talk island folks, right? We all know that when we first come up here, our parents, they're looking to hustle, they're looking to grind, they're looking to get themselves situated to make sure that, you got a place to stay and you got some food to eat, right? While you go to a public school, you get in a public school, whatever, because guess what? Parents didn't really have the money for nothing different. So you in a public school, you know what I'm saying? Doing what you're doing, you probably live in the hood somewhere, in Flatbush, Canarsie, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it's usually a struggle. So if you came to this country, especially during the time in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Now, if you come up in this country now, it's a little easier because things are a little different. But if you came up to this country in your early teen years, in the mid 90s, things was, it was a little different back then. But anyways, so I went to college. I did a 2-year degree. I have a degree in hotel restaurant management. Most people don't know that, but I do. Unfortunately, when I finished school, I realized that I got student loans and all this stuff for this degree, to realize that, I couldn't even get a paid internship because I had no experience. If you remember or recall what my guy Scotty said, in the other episodes where he was, talking about real estate, he spoke a lot about that, going to school, getting an education, getting a degree, and then coming out and having difficulties finding work because you have no experience. Well, I'm an example of that, or I was an example of that. So when I realized that, I quickly changed course and I decided to go and find work on my own. I started off in retail. But what I found about the retail industry is it's a whole bunch of part-time opportunities. We all know that, right? If you worked in retail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's part-time opportunity. You're working your butt off for more hours. So you're working to have more hours to work just to get a bigger paycheck. But, when you don't know no better, you can't do any better. But, that was the reality in retail. And I was like, plus you got to work weekends. Oh, man. Retail and weekends. That's, listen, working Saturdays, Sundays, it was just crazy. So I've did a lot of that. And then up until I just got sick and tired of that. I got sick and tired of that. And I ended up in sales. I think my first job, and real serious job, was Verizon Wireless. And I was in sales. I enjoyed that, working for that company very much. It was very professional, courteous, corporate. I've been there. I think that was probably the longest job I ever had or held. I was in sales. And what I learned was, that's when I really started to make money that meant anything, more stable income. Because I was able to collect, I had a steady schedule, and then I was able to get commission as well. So that was new to me coming from retail. That was new to me coming from that. And when I got into sales, I got excited because now I control how much I make. So I got really excited about that. So I started getting into it, and building into it. And that's all I focused on. At the time, I remember having another sales rep sitting next to me. It's actually one of my partners now. He was on one of our other episodes of Brothers of Influence. Our relationship have, traveled through the years. But anyways, I was pretty good in sales. I did well, as I started seeing myself not only making salary plus commission, I saw a gradual jump, a healthy jump in my, annual income. I think I was making about $50,000-$60,000 a year, which is not much, but at the time to me it was a pretty good start, But I remember one day I'm just there working, and this one guy, he was just there, always on the phone. I'm like the guy. I'm like sales, Verizon Wireless. I'm just all in that, narrow visioned or tunnel visioned on just sales and what I was doing. So I see this guy slacking. I'm like, man, why do they hire these people? They come in, they slacking, he's not even doing his work. Like, why are you on the phone when you could be out here, getting new lines of activations and stuff like that? Like, yo, you're a loser. What are you doing? So anyways, that's how I thought about the guy. So it's funny enough, as time progressed, I came to realize that he was actually a real estate agent on the side, part-time. And he was on the phone doing a lot of, real estate deals, over the phone while he was at work. And the deals that he told me he was closing, it might not have been the most ethical thing to do, to use your work phone to close deals in real estate, but when I realized what he was doing, and he was making commissions of $1,200+ one time on one rental, that kind of blew my mind, and it kind of popped my bubble. The little bubble that I lived in, which said that, which was just focused on my current job and how much commission I can make, which was averaging about, I gotta do maybe about 50, 60 new lines of activations a month to make an extra $2,000, $2,500. When I got this guy over here who was in real estate, who just rented an apartment and made $1,200, I'm like, what the heck? I had to change my mindset. So I started shifting, and I stopped pretty much just depending on my job as just my only source of income. That's where that stopped at. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my journey of what I would say of entrepreneurship really began at that point. And that guy is still one of my close friends today, Sheldon Myers, so he has owned a few companies since then, still is in real estate, developing real estate, buying and flipping real estate, holding and renting real estate, owner of Rooted Treasure, which is very popular. Check them out at Rooted Treasure on Instagram. It's very popular. So he have came a long way, you know what I'm saying? And I always thank him for pretty much, he helped shift my mind in a lot of things from early on, from the seed level of my entrepreneurship journey. So I'm always appreciative of that brother for that. At that point, I started looking at things a little differently. My whole perspective, outlook on things were different. So I started to try out different things on the side, while I was still pursuing my career in the wireless industry. I stayed in there for about 3 years. I came from Verizon. I made pretty good money. I learned the sales route, and I kind of built the skills of sales, So I left Verizon, I went to T-Mobile. I made a lot of money in T-Mobile on a part-time basis. And actually, no, my first go around was Sprint first. Sprint, Verizon, then T-Mobile. But while I was at T-Mobile, I actually left T-Mobile to start a wholesaling business. I was selling sample Louis Vuitton, Gucci bags, belts, shoes, Everybody was wearing that at the time. I was in a night scene, whatever, so it was just convenient. And I made pretty good money in that, to be quite honest with you. And that's kind of when it kind of clicked for me that, and that was kind of like going off on a limb. I took my income tax money, I paid for like two of somebody's kids and got about 10 racks on my income tax return, and I took that and bought a bunch of things from China. It sat in the house for about 6 months with no buyers. Had to go broke to then get really hungry to go out there with a handbag, and sold one bag for $1,000. And then one customer, two customers. It's the same formula in every business. But anyway, so yeah, eventually it picked up and I started making money, but then I got lazy. So I never really did what I needed to do to get it to the next level. But anyways, during that time, I was home. I was no longer in the corporate industry. I used to hustle as well, part-time, do little hustles here and there. End up getting in trouble with the law 2 or 3 times, whatever, enough to have a record. So that kind of ruined or put a halt to my corporate career, but anyways, I ended up moving to Houston, Texas. I went to school for welding. Actually, I went to school for welding prior to moving to Houston, Texas. And I learned the welding industry from my dad. He was an iron worker. I learned the welding industry. I went to Apex Technical School for that. Graduated there, went to Houston, Texas. And at that point, I got an entry-level job, out there. It's the oil and gas capital, so there's a lot of welding opportunities out there. So I was able to take advantage of that, so that's where I got started, getting back into the workforce. During the time when I was selling bags, that was like the gap there was probably I probably was home for about 2 years, where I was just doing my bag business and having a good time. I didn't work for about 2 years. So transitioning back into work, not only that, into construction was kind of like it was a lot, you know what I'm saying? It was not an easy transition, so I was a little lazy at first, and I left the job in a week. But guess what? I did not find another job for like 4 months. I had to go completely broke. But thankfully, I went through that situation because that taught me work ethic. You know what I'm saying? That you can't sit in your ass, you know what I'm saying? You can't sit in your ass and think that, work gonna just fall in your lap. That was my mindset while I left the job. I was running from the work because the work was a little difficult. So I started making excuses to leave, right? That's the way how it works. When you're lazy, you come across obstacles and you make excuses that justifies your ego, tricks your ego into thinking that, hey, you have a legitimate reason for walking away. And that's pretty much what I did, and end up leaving the job, not finding another job for 4 months, not having enough money to cover me for the next 4 months, and going broke. That was not fun. That was a lot harder than the work that I had to do on that job that I ducked. So I learned that lesson really quickly, you know what I'm saying? I thank God for teaching me that lesson. After that is when things changed around for me. The work ethic kicked in. Once the work ethic kicked in, got my mind right, my next job, I was making a lot less money than the job I quit, but I was happy to have the job. Worked my ass off 6-7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, go. I got my own engines going. And worked my way up. Structural welder to a pipe welder, looking for opportunities. And then I started seeing, once I got serious, I started to see myself climb the ladder from $15 to $20 an hour, $20 to $23 an hour, $23 an hour to $28 to $30 an hour. It just all of a sudden, your boy's just going next level. But I wasn't steady with my employment because I was moving at such a fast pace. I wasn't steady, but I did stay in the industry. I stayed in the industry, ended up back in New York, and at that point I had the skill, but I'm still starting over because New York is the kind of place where everything is a certification. It's all about a certification in New York. I'm telling you guys right now, New York City is all about certifications. It's not about your degree. It's not about what you say you know. You know what I'm saying? It's about certifications. What can you show on paper that says you can do what you say you do? Certifications and license. That's what New York City is all about. All right? Now, I came back to New York City. Now I have a newborn on the way. You know what I'm saying? I have a skill set. Now I'm starting all the way over. You know what I'm saying? Went to Texas, got all the experience. Back in New York, now I'm starting all the way over, right? So I had to go get a G60, F60. I had to go get OSHA and all this kind of stuff that I usually talk about from my welding school. But I started from ground up with all of that stuff, and through welding was able to get into the union, secured a nice job, and make, well over 6 figures in 1 year. So that summarizes my first 2 years in New York City. Back in New York City, getting to the union, whatever, situating myself for success, reclimbing that ladder from scratch. The only thing I had was my skill. It's very important you guys understand that. The most important asset I had moving back into New York was my skill set. You know what I'm saying? Skill set and work ethic. My skill set was welding. That's what I used to financially empower me to pretty much make some money, put away some money, and start a business. You know what I'm saying? I started a business. I did not hesitate. I did not hesitate to start a business because I came to the point in my life where I had to make a decision. Like, okay, throughout the years, the biggest problems that I had that led me to be a job hopper was this. Everywhere I went in terms of a job, I get bored. And as soon as I get bored, my performance starts to shift. I went through that cycle year after year, job after job after job, and refused to do anything different, which took me all the way up to 30 jobs, until I moved out of that environment, which took me out of that cycle to now start to think and reevaluate myself. To then start asking, okay, cool, if you don't like that, then what do you like? And a lot of us, we don't ask ourselves these key questions. We just focus on what the heck we don't like. So it's like, oh man, well, I don't want to do this. Oh, I don't necessarily want to do that. So you're going through the things, you're pretty much taking time to consider all the things that you don't want to do, which is an endless list. It can go on and on and on. I stopped focusing on the endless things that I didn't want to do. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we do it. Okay, cool. I'm going to justify doing what I don't want to do because they pay good money. You know what I'm saying? It pays the bills. It's convenient for now. See, that's that now thinking. That now thinking is what keeps people living in the now. You know what I'm saying? And people that live in the now is typically broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, when you live in the now, it means that you're short-sighted. You can never see the future. You're always looking at the present, which is important. It's good to stay present. Like my man Andre Gunter say, it's good to stay present, but present with future in mind. Every day you're working towards something. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be waking up like whatever. You know what I'm saying? We got to get up, get out, have plans and goals towards something that we're going to work towards, because until you die, you're always going to be working towards something, whether it's planned out or not. You know what I'm saying? Whether you plan it out or not, you're still going to be working on something. It's just something that you didn't plan on. Like for example, you might not have any plans for the next week, but you work at McDonald's. As soon as you show up to work, you're executing on McDonald's plan. They need you to flip them burgers. You know what I'm saying? You got to flip those burgers. You got to get there by 8 o'clock and you're out there by 5 o'clock. Because that's when the shift ends. Until that time, you got to serve the purpose of staying at the register wherever you belong, or flipping the burger if that's where you belong. Whatever your job title is, that's what you got to do. So you're contributing to somebody else's plan. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking McDonald's or fast food or anybody who ever worked there. I'm just saying you can't avoid, it's either you got a plan or you fall in somebody else's plan. You pick. That's just what it is. So in any case, so when I started my business, I didn't know nothing about business. I had no clue. You know, I know that in YouTube you could go look up some stuff. So I went ahead on YouTube, look up some, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I got all my information on YouTube. I just got started. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a business plan. I looked it up. I sat down with people, talked to me about this business plan and business plan that. How the heck am I gonna make a business plan when I don't even know what the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth step is to pretty much success? I mean, you could say, oh, yeah, there's an opportunity across the street, but until you actually go across the street and go see where the opportunity, you'll never really know. So it didn't make sense to me to have a business plan, because as you gather information, plans can shift. So that means that every day I'm changing that business plan. So if it's constantly changing, then what's the point of even, you know what I'm saying? Like, have a concept of where you're going, but to say project and stuff like that, it just didn't make any sense to me. But what made sense is trial and error. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did, you know, until I ran into some mentors and I was able to, you know, break some learning curves. But anyways, I got into business with my welding school. I started my welding school, started doing ads on Craigslist. People was giving me calls. I was doing personal welding training, preparing individuals for their welding certification, vertical and overhead. By the way, my welding school came from the concept of pretty much my blueprint. You know, I was able to go and within 2 years with my hands, my skills in welding, and make well over $100,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? I'm an average dude from Brooklyn. You know, I grew up in Flatbush. There's nothing special about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still young. Matter of fact, as soon as a person, if you fresh out of high school, you could do what I do. You could do what I did in a matter of 5 years. Like, you can lock in and guarantee, if I stay in this lane right here, you could guarantee, you know, a 6-figure salary by the time you're 25. You know what I'm saying? You could actually be a millionaire by the time you're 30. It should be easy. With the kind of resources that's out here, maybe 5 years or less, maybe less than that. It's just too many resources out here and strategies out here to do it. But if you don't know, you don't know. But that's the purpose of this podcast that we're making, because we want to highlight and educate and teach strategies that you're not going to learn in school. There's a lot of other guys doing this, like my guy Jay Morrison, shout out to him, you know, with the real estate and the, you know, the business mentorship and the credit mentorship. Those are very key gems. You know what I'm saying? I got my guy Eric Thomas. You know what I'm saying? I listen to his stuff all the time. I consider him one of my mentors. You know, I watch my brother, what is his name? Jeremiah Davis? Yeah, him, my guy Yada. You know, Yada's on the health and the, you know, the organic wave, and you know what I'm saying? So all these people are out there, you know, encouraging, just giving back to their community, especially the African American community, which is good, you know. So I'm just playing my part, you know, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? I don't care, big or small, whatever it is, it don't matter. But as I see value in my life, you know, it's important for me to give back. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm about, you know. So first, I started my Bot Welding and Consulting LLC, and that's pretty much showing my journey to how I got here. All right, that's pretty much how can I help somebody else earn a living helping somebody else get to where I was able to get. And there was a strategy to it, you know what I'm saying? So I taught those sequence of strategies, how a regular person, regular everyday people who sick and tired of not having opportunity, of working at that dead-end job. I don't care where you work or what the excuse, why, I don't care what that is, but if you're tired and fed up of the industry that you're in, you know what I'm saying? And what you're doing, I want to try something different that can lead you to, you know, a better financial future. I'm not saying I know every way, but I know the way that I took. And I know the steps. I can show you if you're interested. You know what I'm saying? And I started a business off that. It's called BOT Welding and Consulting LLC. BOT stands for Brighter, O, Opportunity, T, Through, T, Trade. So BOT, Brighter Opportunity Through Trade, you know what I'm saying, is what that stands for. Welding and Consulting. All right? BOT, Brighter Opportunity Through Training, Welding, and Consulting. That's the name of our company. We also have a nonprofit organization, BOT Foundations, Brighter Opportunities Through Trade Foundation. You know, and in the journey of growing BOT Welding and Consulting LLC, I was able to work with a couple nonprofit organizations, you know, where they provide me students and I conduct trainings with them. I mentor them. I tell them how they could get into the construction industry. I've trained guys, you know, within my first year of putting out Craigslist ads, guys from Craigslist. I had a guy call me, he was a Russian guy working out of his minivan. Got an odd job that requires him to have a license. And he didn't know how to pass a test. He knew how to weld. There's a way how to weld professionally, and there's a way how to just do regular welds. You know, you got to make a tack somewhere, you know, like miscellaneous welding, you know, mom and pop welding, like in your backyard welding. That kind of welding is not going to help you pass a certification test. So that's the kind of welder he was. He had the foundation, but he didn't have the necessity to weld from a professional standpoint. But anyways, he came to me and I showed him how to pass the test. He went ahead and passed both tests, went ahead and got his New York City welding license, and went ahead and I coached him strategically on how to get in the union from there, which he did within that first year when he trained for me, meaning first year, meaning from the time that he came in to train with me to a year after that, he was able to get in the union as an iron worker, as a journeyman iron worker. And from that point on, guy's been making six figures ever since. He's in the union, he has a book now. You know, that guy was, I don't know, probably scraping $50,000, $60,000 a year working out of his van prior to us connecting. So at that point, I got my proof of concept. You know, I had another kid, Jonathan, a lot younger than him, early 20s. He's probably 25 right now. He's also an iron worker, trained under me, whatever, making the same amount of money. You know, well over $100,000 a year, 25 years old, 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? If you out there and you're around that age group and you're like, wow, and you're wondering what the difference between you and a guy, other 26-year-old, let me tell you what the difference between a 26-year-old who is achieving success and the average, pretty much 25-year-old. This is just from what I noticed, right? There's gonna be a 25-year-old who's gonna think, yo, you know what? I'm young. I have time. So I don't gotta focus on trying to do things right now to set myself up to you know, secure my future now. I'm young. I'll live it up now and I'll do that later. Like, there's no rush for me to do that. I'm still young, right? That's the average mindset of young people, right? The 25-year-old that really has a lot and set up from early, that's a 25-year-old that says, yo, I'm only 25. I have all the energy right now and talents right now to maximize on what them old people are trying to do in their old age. I could do that now, and I could do that better than them now because I have more energy. That's my benefit over that older person. So I'm gonna be like them in my 20s in terms of mindset, right? And live that out now, and I'll enjoy my later years where I'm sick and tired anyways. You know, your body's decaying by the day. It's not getting better, it's decaying. You know, even as it gets better, it's on the road to decaying. We're on the road to the grave, just so everybody know. How far you are away from that, separate, that's the only separator of people. We all on that road. So, moral of the story, you know what I'm saying? Plan for the future. Always have some kind of, and start now. So young people who are making it young is people who are starting now kind of people, not later. Let's start now, because that's all we got, all right? So like my man Gunter say, he's really on track when he says that. There's a lot of power to that. That's why I invited him on one of our episodes, because there is a lot of power in that. So anyway, so I was able to grow a company. I've mentored, I coached a lot of people in terms of how to get into the welding industry, helped a lot of people get their license, trained a lot of guys, was able to get a contract at Rikers Island Prison, talking to guys there, postly incarcerated, guys who were, in jail, felonies and all this stuff, and who have release dates. I talked to them about the welding industries, the opportunities within the welding industries, how they could come from where they're at in jail and get into a fulfilling career within the welding industry through through either contacting me when they get out, taking a tour through my school, and coming up with a game plan to get them from out of the street to where they need to go. I also had contracts with the MTA, where I trained their employees to get their certification necessary to weld on the train tracks. I worked with Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. I did a metal workshop program with them where we teach basic construction skills, fabrication skills. We taught introduction to welding and theory and a complete SMAW welding training with certification included and mentorship and all that stuff. So in terms of BOT and where it started off, we moved along. We've gotten a lot of contracts. We're working, we're building, we're moving. And on the journey of BOT, I was able to acquire Lambo Mechanical, which is, I have a mechanical company where we do commercial HVAC in the government sector, School Construction Authority. We're a minority-owned company. We're set to pretty much gross, a little bit over $1 million this year, so we're closing the year out right. It's just a long way coming, and I have a lot of other things that I'm working on in terms of building lifelong legacy, for me and my heirs, for me and my last name, so I wanna, as I build and I learn new things and I get to the next level in what I'm doing, I want to make sure that I create, ladders below me, and that's important to me. So everything that I'm doing right now is look at it as a ladder. As soon as this video goes out and it goes to your ears, that's a ladder. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to bring around people within my sphere of influence who has great ideas and concepts, whatever. We're going to get them in a room. We're going to talk about it, discuss it, and see what kind of gems they can drop, on you guys, and hopefully it sparks something to get you to the next level. I strongly believe in this simply because that's where I came from. You know, it's me watching videos, being inspired by different people, led me to where I am today, who I am today. So I'm just, you know, passing the torch on, you know, that's it. I'm making it happen. All right. So yeah, so as of now, guys, 2 companies, Bot Welding Consulting LLC, Lambo Mechanical, 3 companies, and Brighter Opportunities Through Trade Foundation, which is our nonprofit organization. All right, so that's me, that's what I do, that's what I'm all about. You know what I'm saying? That's the foundation of, you know, what I've established up until this point. You know, I'm always here. I've built up a good business sense. I'm a full-blown entrepreneur at heart. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? My main skill set, I'm an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? Strategic investor in whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't zone myself into anything in particular. You know what I'm saying? I don't box myself in. As an entrepreneur, simply what I do is I create opportunities and orchestrate them to my end. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? I don't do nothing in particular. I'm not a contractor. Yeah, I'm a contractor. I own a contracting company, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. That's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. You know, whether it's a welding school, I'm an entrepreneur. Whether it's this, Brothers of Influence, I'm an entrepreneur. Whether it's my nonprofit, I'm an entrepreneur. Because guess what? Anything done under my non-for-profit, I fund it. I'm not looking for funding. Yeah, I'll go after funding, but funding is not needed for me to execute on my goal because I'm an entrepreneur. I solve problems. You know what I'm saying? The biggest part of being a business owner is being able to solve problems. Right? Seeing the glass half full. If you just see the glass half full kind of person, you might want to be an entrepreneur. If you don't like to take risk, you might not. So those are the 2 most important things that you got to get comfortable with if you're going to become an entrepreneur. FYI. You know what I'm saying? But I'm an entrepreneur. I love being an entrepreneur. Why? Because I love to pretty much situate my own plate. How much should be on my plate or how much should not be on my plate and what should be on my plate. I get to decide that, being an entrepreneur. All right? Always been like that since I was young, but I guess that's why I'm so comfortable, because thank God I now realize what I'm here to do on this earth. Be an entrepreneur. All right, so at the ending of the day, once you know what you've been tasked to do in life and you understand what your gifts and your goals are, life becomes easy because you're only gonna focus, and you should only focus your time on things that you're good at. You know what I'm saying? Don't squeeze yourself in anybody else's box. Don't allow anybody else to squeeze you in a box. Figure out what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and just do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, the money is no excuse. Don't make the money an excuse. The money is not an excuse. The money is what you need, all right? If the money was what you need, then you got to focus on making money and not your goal. And don't complain. It's just a matter of structuring. If you need money, get the money out of the way, then go after the goal. At the end of the day, the moral of the story is go after your goal. Go after what you're passionate about. Whatever's in your way, go handle that so that you could get right back on track. It's that simple. All right? Keep life simple. Anyways, guys, so let's wrap that up. This your boy. You know what I'm saying? Hope I was able to chop some game up for you guys. I didn't really break things down really too much. You know what I'm saying? I just want you guys to get a clear understanding of my backdrop, my backstory. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing, what I'm about. You know, so that moving forward in our next steps, and you see everything else that's going on, it'll all make sense. All right? So I thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Brothers of Influence. Just look out for the next episode and all the interesting things that's gonna come your way. Look out for us, Brothers of Influence. Everybody, peace out. It's your boy Les. Thank you.